anatomy, physiology, blah, 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 blah. What's really interesting about this class, or I guess just overall, is just how much and frequently they continuously recommend exercise. So like right now we're going into muscles, right? Talking about, muscle fibers, the physiology side of things, but like everything always traces back to the concept of why we should be exercising, because of the idea that it builds one, muscle mass, because as we grow older, no matter what, if you're super like doing nothing, you're going to have a more likely chance of where you're immobile when it comes to being older.
Bone density.
Yeah. So it's interesting how often, like, my professor keeps going like, so those that do resistance training, for those that do this, for those that do that, or for those that exercise are better off in the long run.
So what you're saying is exercise is good for you. Yeah. All right, I'll write that one down.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Good.
So that's that. I wanted to mention that because it leads us right into what today's topic is about, and it's about CrossFit's sickness, wellness, and fitness continuum,
right.
And it revolves around that concept. So before we start diving into this one, we have to define what fitness is, because everyone has their own definition of fitness and everything varies. But what's cool about CrossFit is if you actually go online and read their article, they talk about several different definitions that are posed by other people, like strength and conditioning, by this, by that, by this, by that. But no one had a clear definition of what fitness was. So what CrossFit did was they created a well-written definition for it, and it's in 100 words. So this is quote unquote pulled from the CrossFit manual, so it's exactly how it's defined, and so I'm going to read it. So fitness is defined as eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar. Keep intake to levels that will support exercise but not body fat. Practice and train major lifts: deadlift, clean, squat, presses, clean and jerk, and snatch. Similarly, master the basics of gymnastics: presses to handstands, pirouettes, flips, splits, and holds. Bike, run, swim, row, etc. Hard and fast. 5 or 6 days per week. Mix these elements in as many combinations and patterns as creativity will allow. Routine is enemy. Keep workout short and intense. Regularly learn and play new sports. So obviously that's a lot of words, but that's just to give the general idea that this is really thought out and it's really structured, so they have a definition behind things.
Right, and when I was first looking into CrossFit, one of the things that appealed to me is I read an article back when it was 2005 is when the article was written, but it was written by Greg Glassman, and he was reading an article that somebody else wrote about who the fittest person in the world was, and at the time it was a guy that was doing these ultra marathons, the Ironmans, right?
Yeah.
So the idea was at that time, if you can do an Ironman faster than anybody else, you were the most fit person in the world. The problem with that is that guy cannot do as many pull-ups or push-ups as I can. He doesn't squat, he doesn't deadlift, he doesn't press, he doesn't do any of the gymnastic stuff. He specializes in 1, 2, or 3 things. So you're gonna tell me that this guy is the most fit human on the planet, and I can do more push-ups than him?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not the most fit person in the world. Like, there's got to be something wrong with that. So Glassman came out and decided that in order to come up with the best fitness methodology in the world, he has to define what fitness is. So he came out with the fitness in 100 words, which is what you just read, and then he had 4 different models for evaluating fitness. Each one is its own way to measure how fit you are, and they're all important. They're all equally as important. So we're going to go over one of those today.
Yeah, then we're going to go over, and what I like about it too is it's not only just evaluating fitness, but it's also a guide, essentially. It's like you use these models to, one, evaluate what you're doing, but it also helps guide you where you need to go, because that evaluation gives you results, and that results, you're kind of like, oh shit, I need to work on something. So that's what these models are based off of. And there's 4 of them. We're only going to go over one of them, but on later episodes we'll go over the other 3. But the first one is general physical skills, the other one's the hopper, the metabolic pathways, and then finally the sickness, wellness, fitness continuum. That is what we're going to discuss today. So let's just hash out what the sickness, wellness, fitness continuum is based off of. And we got a cool little diagram for those that are watching. You guys will see the diagram. For those that are listening, it's basically a rainbow or a half circle, and at the left or the start of this half circle is sick, the middle of the circle is wellness, and then it finishes with fitness. So it's a half circle that is a continuum. It shows progress, or it shows you where you're located at on that line.
Right. So something so simple as this is how you can measure your health. So here's the idea. The idea is every health marker that you can think of, including but not limited to blood pressure, body fat percentage, bone density, triglycerides, your HDL, LDL, your blood sugar, muscle mass, everything that the doctor could look at and say, you need medication or you don't need whatever. Anything like that, you can put that somewhere on this level. So for example, resting heart rate, right? If my resting heart rate is 55 beats a minute, I'm more towards the fit end of that spectrum. If my resting heart rate was 80 or 85 beats a minute, then I'm going to be over towards the sickness end. And that's what this continuum is every single measure of health you can place somewhere between sickness, wellness, fitness, right? And that's not limited to things that you can find in the doctor's office, like the blood pressure, things that I mentioned. This is also including things like your deadlift and your squat and how fast you can run a mile and what your fran time is and 50 calories per bike per time, things like that. Any physical test, you can put it on that continuum as well. Yeah, so that's how you use the continuum. Then we can talk about some details.
Yeah, and when it comes down to that, like continuum, notice how they're all measurements. So in an earlier podcast episode, we talked about being able to measure and progress and like all these kind of things. All these things are measurable. It's not just like, well, I guess I'm kind of sick or I'm kind of wellness. They're statistically backed. Because obviously, if your blood pressure is like horrible, you're obviously not very fit. You're kind of unwell, or depending on where that's at. And so that's what's cool about these statistics. Now, one thing I do like is it was mentioned is like mental health is mentioned. But it's a hard thing to measure. So it is taken consideration, but it's not necessarily a hard fact like, oh, well, this person's mental health is like 75%. You can't necessarily measure it, but it is taken consideration with this. So because you have things like stress and all that. But these stats are what dictates our overall health. So when we look at this is what gives us this hedge against sickness. This is the not more exciting, but this is the fun part to talk about.
I like it.
Yeah, it's exciting. And this is what makes CrossFit. Is a lot of people, yes, you see people doing cool ass shit. You see people doing just awesome feats of fitness, awesome things in general, and that stuff is all cool. But what makes CrossFit is its ability to provide a hedge against fitness, or that's its core principle, is the health aspect,
right?
And that's what it's all about,
right? So let's dive into so we talk about number one. I have several problems with the doctor's office, but a problem that I have with the doctor's office is number one, how often do you see your doctor? Once every 6 months, once a year, something like that.
Yeah.
The doctor. And I love doctors. Don't take this the wrong way. I absolutely love doctors. We need doctors. Yeah. I'm not saying that, okay? But having said that, you go to the doctor's office. He is not there for your health. Mm-hmm. If you don't have any poor health markers, like for me, I'm going to use me as an example. I went to the doctor a year and a half ago for a checkup. My blood pressure was fine, my heart rate was fine, my blood sugar was fine, all the health markers were good. So he said, okay, you're fine, you can go. And that was it. Okay. If I went in there and my blood pressure was high, he would put me on a medication to try to fix that. Okay. So the doctor is not trying to the doctor is not trying to help the core problem that is so my blood pressure is high, right? Putting me on medication is not going to help fix the problem. My blood pressure is high because I eat like shit. My blood pressure is high because I drink or because I smoke or because whatever. That's what the problem is. The doctor is not there to fix that. Okay?
Yeah, and it's... Again, this is a hard way to phrase it because it sounds like we're bashing on doctors. Doctors have their place. They have their place, but I don't want to say it's a quick and easy fix, but it's the fix that they were taught, and that's the fix they provide. Is the one that is going to give you the most urgency. So it's like that medication provides the quickest and easiest form, because when it comes down to exercise and nutrition and stuff like that, that's not stuff they are specialized in. They're not, that's not their focus.
Here's what a doctor is. A doctor is a lifeguard.
Yeah.
If you were on the beach and you're drowning, you need a lifeguard. Okay.
Yeah.
At that point, you don't need a swim teacher. You don't need lessons on how to swim. You don't need somebody telling you how to swim as you are drowning. You need a lifeguard to pull your ass out of the water. Right? That's what the doctors do. When you go there and your blood pressure is high, you need medications. That's what the doctor is there for. You need a swim coach. You needed a swim coach 6 months ago, 6 years ago. That's where CrossFit steps in. So
that's perfect.
CrossFit is a hedge against that sickness.
Yeah,
right?
the sickness. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that was good.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's a perfect analogy. That gives it the best idea, because that's exactly what it is. And then the fitness aspect, the CrossFit aspect, is what provides us that hedge.
Right.
And that's what we're going to talk about here in a second. So you can go ahead and carry on with what you're going to say.
Right. So let's say. Let's give a couple of examples. Let's say the blood pressure is high, the body fat percentage is high, and the triglycerides are high. Okay, you go to the doctor's office, you find these 3 things. Let's say that person, I'm gonna call him. Let's give him a name. I'm gonna call him Seth. Let's call him Seth.
Yeah, we'll call him Seth. Perfect.
Right, Seth is overweight. Seth doesn't work out. Seth eats like shit.
Water.
He
doesn't drink water.
Doesn't drink water. So he goes to the doctor's office, and the doctor tells him your blood pressure is high, your triglycerides are high, your body fat is high. Okay, that puts you at risk for heart attacks, for cardiac distress, for chronic diseases that kill 7 out of 10 people. Okay. Seth then joins a CrossFit gym. He starts eating meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar. And he starts keeping his intake to levels that support exercise but not body fat. Right? And then Seth comes to CrossFit gym 5 or 6 times a week, and he does that for 1 year. Okay? Goes back to the doctor. All of a sudden, Seth's blood pressure is back to normal range. His cholesterol is back to normal range. He lost body fat. He gained muscle. He is no longer at risk for the cardiac disease, for the heart attack, for the diabetes, for all this other chronic disease shit that none of us want. Okay? That's what CrossFit does. Okay?
Yeah.
It provides, and that's the phrase that we use. It provides a hedge against sickness. So if we're using this continuum, if you're listening, bear with me, but if Seth goes into the doctor's office and he's here, he starts exercising and eats really well for a year, then all of a sudden he gets feeling better, and then as he gets even more fit and in better shape and gains more muscle and has less body fat and less chronic disease shit, then he moves closer and closer towards that fit level.
Yeah.
Right? As you get further towards this fit level, you get further and further away from the sickness. You get further away from the medications. You get further away from like I said, the chronic diseases. I'm big on chronic diseases.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Right. So the closer you get to that fit level, the further you are from sickness.
Yeah, and that goes the other way as well. And I like this concept, is not only if you are in the sickness area, so you have all these bad numbers, but even more so if you're in the fitness category, that's what even provides that hedge. Because I like the analogy I heard a little bit ago earlier today. I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about this idea is like that fitness provides the hedge, because think of it as a bank. So right now I have $1 million in my savings, just loaded up, and I'm in that fitness.
Must be nice.
I wish. But I have $1 million. I'm in the fitness category right now. But some things happen, things change, and I start to head towards that wellness. Well, that idea there is I'm starting to pull away from my savings in my bank, and so it provides that hedge. So if I had a slight, I had a bad couple months or whatever it is, or I fell off the nutrition wagon, or I fell off whatever it is, I'll start to it's not like you go straight from fitness to sickness or sickness to fitness, and it's not like wellness is a bad area to be either. You're just not necessarily fit. Fitness is considered the upper health or upper superior health level. Wellness is still good, it's the average area, but getting into that fitness category provides a more superior hedge or more savings to allow you to have those times. If you end up getting sick or whatever variable happens and stuff like that, it gives you the defense, or it gives you a better chance.
Yeah, so you're constantly in motion. You're always going towards one way or the other. And that's, like you said, great example with the bank is say we've been doing CrossFit for years. We eat pretty well most of the time. We're closer to the fit end of the spectrum. So if I take a month off after I had the baby, after my wife had the baby.
That's a damn good.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't exercising as much as I was before, and I had a few more nights out that I was eating fast food because I was tired, whatever. I didn't jump right from fitness to I didn't jump right from fit to being sick. I still had that buffer zone where I was fit to begin with, and then I take some time off. I take it a little bit easy, and I'm still not taking medications. I'm still not at risk for all the cardiac shit. Right?
It's not like you went straight to like having BP issues or like
Right. Yeah. So that's the nice part. Is the more fit you get, the better you get on this continuum.
Yeah.
The less towards sick you get. And I mentioned it at the beginning as far as it matters with your blood markers. It also matters with your lifts. Like take deadlift for instance. If you can deadlift your body weight, that's good. I would put that in the well category. As you get stronger and you can deadlift 1.5 times your body weight and then twice your body weight, you're towards fit. I'm not worried about like falling and breaking my hip. If I can deadlift my body weight or twice my body weight, right? I have denser bones. I have more muscle mass. I have more things that are going to protect me from injuries. Yeah, kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it is, and obviously the idea behind genetics becomes a big factor, and it's not necessarily
genetics.
I know, but there is certain sicknesses and issues that are genetic, and they're not necessarily considered or held in the highest degree with this because you can't control those things. But these are factors you can control. That's the big thing. Is obviously genetic is this whole different conversation, discussion, argument. But the idea is with this continuum, it is all about things you can control.
Yes.
You can control your body fat. You can control your muscle mass. It just requires you to do a resistance training or major lifts. And so these things are all controllable.
Yes.
So that is the big thing to also realize when it comes to this sickness, wellness, fitness factor. Like, yes, if you have some genetic issue that runs in your family and you're like, okay, yeah, you can't necessarily outlift that. Like, you can't. Yes, we get that, we understand that, but the idea is the factors that you can't control, obesity, heart problems, all those kind of things can be controlled with this continuum.
Right. Yeah, genetics it does play a part. There was a meme I saw with Arnold Schwarzenegger yelling at somebody, something like, obesity runs in my family, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger yells at him and says, nobody runs in your family.
Yeah,
like
I've seen that, and
genetics plays a part. It doesn't play that big of a part. You can still outwork a lot of stuff.
Exactly. No, you have anything more? Yeah, go Ken. If you got anything.
I would say my goal for people that come in is to get them to live the healthiest lifestyle possible. And what I define as a healthy lifestyle is to be off of your medications and to be able to do the things outside of the gym that fit people do. Things like picking up your kids and going for walks and hikes and paddleboarding and mountain biking and triathletes, whatever. Things like that. And the more things like that you can do, the less likely you are to be sick, the less likely you are to be on medications, to have a heart attack, to have a stroke, to do these things that we don't want, right? If I can get people to come to the gym 4, 5, 6 times a week, and if I can get them to eat meat and veggies, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar most of the time, then they are going to be on the fit end of the spectrum and be able to live a healthier and better life for longer than if they were to do something else.
That's another big piece. Like, all the things you said are like spot on, but that's also like the idea is like, no matter what, as we age, yes, we're going to lose some things. You're going to possibly lose muscle mass, you're not going to be as fast as you were when you're 20. Yes, we understand that, but you can still live a so much more full life if you focus on this principle and you do those things, because when you're 70 or 80, you're still able to go out for a walk with your grandchildren, go for a walk with your dog, whatever it is, you're able to do those things and live a good, full life. Yeah. Using this continuum is a big principle behind it, and all those things tie into it, and that's the big takeaway. Let you do the things you love for longer to have a full and healthy life.
Yep, and that brings up a good point too. That reminded me. CrossFit's done a good job of proving that as you get older, as you get into your 50s, 60s, 70s, you can still get stronger. Yeah. They proved it because they had people that were at the CrossFit Games. So elite athletes in the Masters division. The guy was 45, I think. Competed in 2007 and then competed again in the Masters in 2017. So same guy, he went from 50 to 60 years old and was doing more weight at 60 years old than he was at 50.
Yeah.
So just because you're getting older doesn't mean you need to get weaker. That's optional.
It's bullshit. Is what it is. Like a lot of people are just like, that's the excuse or that pull. It's like, I'm just too old. It's like, no, you can still do some pretty badass stuff. Like, you just have to understand what you're doing, and it's not going to be quick. It's a process. Yes, it's going to take a lot of work. Yes, it's going to take consistency. Yes, but just because you're old doesn't mean it's over.
Yep, and that keeps coming back to this continuum.
Yeah.
Is even as you age, you can still get yourself towards that fit category. If
Absolutely.
you can, the more you squat, like if you can squat 135 pounds with 135 pounds on your back, I'm not worried about your ability to get off the toilet by yourself. I know you can do that.
Yeah, it's just focusing on that nutrition, those movements, and those things that we just discussed in that definition.
Right.
You're still working on this continuum.
Get yourself towards that fitness end of the continuum, and you are going to live a better life.
Absolutely. Well, Ken, do you have any other comments you want to add to this one?
No, I think we covered it.
Yeah, this is a good one. So if you guys have any questions about this model for evaluating or guiding fitness, that's very, very just big piece of CrossFit itself. If you have questions about it or just want some more clarification, or if you want more information, one, you can always go to CrossFit's website and definitely look up the article about itself if you want to read it for yourself. There's a full-fledged thing. You literally can just put fit, or you can put sickness, wellness, fitness, continuum, dash CrossFit and Google it. It'll come up with the article and you can read it yourself. But you're more welcome to ask one of the coaches here. Myself, Ken, or Seth will definitely love to talk about it. It's a big thing that guides us to do what we do. And so other than that, guys, thanks for tuning in for this episode. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye, folks.
See you later.